All right, at this time, we're ready to start the Mississippi State press conference. I'd like to remind you to make sure your phones are on mute. Coach, could you please start with an opening statement?
Obviously disappointed with the results. Unfortunately, we dug ourselves a pretty big hole there in the second half and knew our kids would continue to fight back and put themselves in position to have a chance to be in a one-possession game, but unfortunately, the ball or the call didn't go our way there late.
All right, we're going to open the floor up for questions for the student athletes. Do you have a question for student athletes? All right, right there, Jane.
Robbie Faulkner and White Daily. This is for Cam. Y'all had a pretty sizable advantage inside, but they were able to get a lot of offensive rebounds. That they had 15, a lot of second chance points. What were they doing well, you think, to get those second chance points and connect on those?
They weren't really doing anything special. They just played tougher than us tonight. They just kind of punked us tonight. That's all it was.
All right, let's go right behind there.
Sam Sklar with the Clarion Ledger for Josh. On that final play where Claudel shot the three, was the shot designed or play designed for you, or what did you kind of see on that sequence?
It was a set drawn for really three options. I mean, Claudel had a good chance. I was coming off a stagger, and so it was really whatever the defense gave us. So we just reacted to what they thrown at us.
Go right back, Jaden.
For Cam, this just being your final Mississippi State game, and the program's pretty clearly made a lot of progress since you've been here with 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances, but unable to come away with a win. Just where do you kind of see this program right now, in the future ahead as you depart?
The program's just going to keep going up. They got a good head coach here to my right, Coach Jens, and we're going to get some guys next year, and we're going to keep practicing hard, and hopefully next year we come up here and get a win next year.
Other questions for the student athletes? Go back up front, Jim.
Cam, kind of on that point, I mean, looking back at your time here, you've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot more ups, I'm sure. I mean, how do you describe your time here and a guy in the middle of the transfer portal era, sticking it out and staying with Mississippi State? I mean, why was Mississippi State your choice for 5 years?
First and foremost, I want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to play this great game of basketball. I want to thank all my, past teammates and current teammates, Coach Allen and Coach James, for believing in me. And I just feel as if that Mississippi State just, it just felt like home, the real welcoming. The people, they're great fans, and, I just wanted to stay home and have something to play for and be proud of.
Okay, right back there, Jay.
Josh, particularly with the turnovers, it seemed like that played a pretty big factor, especially in the first half, and then maybe you guys were able to clean it up a little bit as you chipped away at the lead. What did you just kind of see in that regard with the turnovers? Yeah,
they did great turning us over, and they created energy and points off of it. Like you said, we had some bad turnovers in the first half. It was a little bit better in the second. Still has some silly ones, but those are just ones you wish you can just go back and just fix.
Any other questions for the student athletes? All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. You're excused. You can go back to the locker room. All right, Jaden, can we go way in the back and then we'll come up front?
Coach, as you're down 3, trying to tie it, I would imagine the game plan was probably to get Josh at 3 the way he'd been playing. Can you tell us about that play call and why that didn't work out, I guess?
Yeah, it had multiple options. It's a play that we put in not that long ago, to be honest with you. It's the first time we've ever run it exactly for this type of scenario where you had enough time to get a one look and then a second look with it's just 2 ball screens where we were dashing out of it and then trying to drag it and then bringing Josh behind the play after he handed the ball off and trying to get a heel toe 3. And certainly at that point, you just never know how the other team's going to play it. But pretty early, you could tell they weren't going to foul us, and internally, I'm like, we're going to get a shot. But unfortunately, it didn't go in.
Up front, Jaden.
Coach, Cam said on the rebounding issues that they outplayed y'all, or they wanted it more than y'all did. Were you surprised that they were able to have that success on the offensive boards that they did?
I mean, they're a very good offensive rebounding team. You know, their numbers show that. The film showed it. So, am I surprised? I don't know. Disappointed, because we certainly talked about it till we were blue in the face and showed the film, and it was one of our major keys going to the game was, you know, to beat them up on the backboard. And that was what we talked about a lot in the first half, was the discrepancy and the amount of second chances they were getting. We kept telling them that our first shot defense had been good enough, but we weren't finishing the possession. And again, you got to give, you know, the Baylor team a bunch of credit for playing really hard and beating our checks and crashing the glass. It's not that we were surprised that they were doing that. And the other thing that we were disappointed in halftime was, you know, we wanted to attack, and get in the paint and live in the paint and not settle early in possessions unless it was just a great rhythm, open three for you personally. And I didn't feel like we did a good enough job with that. We were 7 for 10 from 2, you know, in the first half, but they had, I think, 20 paint touches and we only had 9. And that's just a really, really low number for us all year long, especially, you know, when we emphasized it heading into this particular game, because we just wanted to try to get inside of them and attack the goal and put 15 in tough situations to shield the rim and put them in ball screens. And I think end of the half with maybe 1 foul, and you know, just didn't feel like we did a good enough job in the first half of doing that.
Okay, third row, Jaden.
Talked about how it's not necessarily a goal anymore for this program to make the NCAA tournament, but to make it and, you know, win some games and go on a run in the NCAA tournament. But just to kind of be in that same spot as you were last year and similar to 2 years ago, how just kind of frustrating is that in this moment right now?
Yeah, that's a fair question, but let's be clear. Getting to the NCAA tournament is still a goal for us every single year. And there's a lot of teams out there that would trade places with us in a heartbeat for what we've accomplished this season, the last 3 combined. But at the same time, you know, we're disappointed. You know, our goals were higher this year than they've ever been. We talked about it in the summer. We talked about it in the fall with you folks, and certainly with our internal meetings that we had. We felt like we had positioned ourselves with the experience, with the success, that it was time for more. And I just talked about it with the team. You know, we'll have different perspective at some point, but right now, you know, we didn't finish. We weren't able to, you know, accomplish the goals that we had set for our team this particular year. So it's disappointing. It hurts. I know our players, I know our program, I know our fans wanted it in the worst way, and I hate the fact that we weren't able to deliver it.
Let's go there, and this will be the last question.
Coach Cam was kind of saying that they weren't tough enough, but correct me if I'm wrong, it seemed like they had a good knack at just deflecting balls out. They weren't really going for the rebound. They were just trying to deflect it back to a teammate. Was that something special they were able to do today?
I mean, they're a very good offensive rebounding team. You know, Coach Drew and his staff and their players obviously having a really good season. And, you know, I'm not in their huddles or prep or practice. I don't know if that was part of their plan. It's not something that I noticed a ton on video heading into, you know, this particular game. But it was part of why we had the rebounding differential that we had. But at the end of the day, we had our chances, right? And we had the ball, and we had a run out, and we turned it over. We had a chance, and it just, I don't know, it wouldn't go our way. And then we had the trap at half court, and I don't know. I can't wait to watch the film to see, how that transpired.
All right, I'm afraid that's all the time we have, Coach. Thank you very much.
Thank you.